My mom said I have a new family now, you'll understand when you're older, then cut me off. At 17, years later, she showed up asking me to pay for her child's tuition. So I replied, how about settling your debt to me first? If you looked at the family photo on our fridge when I was 15, you'd think we were one of those cozy normal families who went hiking together on weekends and made pancakes on Sundays. You'd see my mom in the center smile, perfect hands resting gently on my shoulders. I was her only kid back then, the first the test run. We wore matching denim jackets that day, and I remember thinking maybe just maybe things were finally going okay. But if you looked closely, you'd see that my eyes were squinting in the sun, while hers were locked on the camera like she was trying to win something. I was in that photo, but not really in it. And honestly, that was most of my life. My name's Ethan, and I used to think I had a place in my mom's world. Not the star role, but something steady. A supporting character, maybe. Until the script got flipped and I got written out. It started slow. She was still mom in the traditional ways, made dinner 3 nights a week, asked if I finished my homework, occasionally yelled at me for forgetting to take the chicken out of the freezer. But somewhere around my 16th birthday, something shifted. She met Craig at a self-growth for entrepreneurs retreat, or as I called it, Camp Divorcees with Audacity. Suddenly she had a new glow, new clothes, and a new favorite word manifest. Greg showed up in a shiny Lexus with a Bluetooth headset permanently fused to his head. He was all smiles and backhanded compliments. So you're the kid he'd said when we first met, taller than I expected. Thanks. Craig had a son too, Tyler. Same age as me, but with the personality of a subscription box. Expensive, predictable, and aggressively advertised. The first time Tyler came over, he brought a drone and called me. Bro, 8 times in 10 minutes. My mom smiled at everything he said like he was auditioning for a role she'd already cast him in. That summer was the beginning of the end. Craig started staying over more often, then just stayed. Suddenly, our bathroom had his cologne in it, our pantry had his keto snacks, my room got repainted to neutralize the vibe. And Tyler's stuff started taking over the guest room, which by the way was larger than mine. I remember the day she asked me to start doing my own grocery shopping, said it was a life skill. I was 16. 1 week later, she handed Tyler a credit card just for emergencies and said, "Don't worry, your family now." I laughed out loud. She didn't, but I still stayed. I still tried. I even helped Tyler build his drone stand and acted like I didn't hear him call me. The other kid when talking to his friends on FaceTime. Then came my 17th birthday. No cake, no dinner, no present. Just a group text from mom that said, "Happy birthday, Ethan. Hope today brings you clarity and growth, seedling." Clarity. Yeah, I got plenty of that. I didn't say anything that night, didn't make a scene. I just sat on the back porch with a gas station cupcake and tried to convince myself it was fine. That maybe I didn't need a celebration. Maybe I was just growing up. But the truth, that was the night something inside me started to shrink. The next few weeks were quiet, the wrong kind. I was practically a ghost. Craig got louder, Tyler got more comfortable, and my mom. She got softer around them, harsher with me, like my presence was static, ruining her new signal. I remember once asking her if we could have a night just us like old times. Maybe go see a movie or make her spaghetti that didn't involve spiraled zucchini. She smiled. But the kind of smile that makes your stomach drop, Ethan, she said. I have a new family now. You'll understand when you're older. That line landed like a brick in my throat. I didn't scream, didn't cry, just stood there blinking, trying to process the fact that she'd said it like she was updating me on a dinner reservation. New family, as if I was a draft she never published. The night I left wasn't dramatic, no suitcase dragging behind me, no shouting match or slam doors, just a backpack, one hoodie, my phone at 17%, and a note on the kitchen counter that said, "Didn't want to interrupt dinner. I'll be out for a bit." They didn't ask where I was going and I didn't expect them to. I took the bus across town and showed up at Leo's house with zero plan and the worst kind of hunger. Not food, just the ache of realizing, you don't have a place anymore. Leo blinked when he opened the door. "Dude, you okay?" I said. "You got room on the couch?" He didn't ask questions, just moved the pizza box and tossed me a blanket that smelled like his dog and barbecue chips. I curled up in that corner like it was mine, even though I knew I didn't belong. That couch would be my home for the next 5 weeks. Leo's parents were too tired to care. His dad worked nights, his mom did nails from the garage. They assumed I was just hanging out for a while. Maybe they knew. Maybe they didn't. Either way, I kept my head down, washed my plate, and never used the hot water for more than 90 seconds. At school, I pretended nothing had changed. I still showed up, still turned in assignments, still nodded politely. When teachers said, "Tell your mom I said hi," I'd smile and lie. "She's doing great." Some nights I'd scroll through Instagram and see photos of Mom and Craig at wine tastings, Tyler showing off new headphones with the caption, "Thanks fam Blackheart." And I'd wonder if they even noticed the house was one person quieter. But I never texted, never called, not because I was proud, because I was tired. Tired of chasing a version of love that kept moving the goalposts. By week 3, I got a job washing dishes at a 24-hour diner. Leo's cousin knew the manager. It was under the table paid cash and came with a uniform that smelled like regret and melted cheese. But I said yes because when you're 17 and broke, pride is a luxury. I work the graveyard shift 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Then I take a nap on Leo's couch, change into school clothes in the bathroom, and try to stay awake through algebra by pretending the numbers meant something. Every dollar I made went into a shoebox. Not because I was saving up for something big, just trying to stretch the space between desperation and disaster. Eventually, I rented a storage unit, the kind you access through a PIN code that barely works and a rusty roll-up door that sounds like it's announcing your secrets to the world. It was the size of a walk-in closet and cost me $70 a month, but it held my stuffed books, clothes, a busted laptop, a blanket from when I was 6. It held me. One night, maybe a month in, Leo fell asleep early, and I sat on the back steps of his house with a cheap energy drink staring at my cracked phone screen, rereading old texts from my mom. "Proud of you. You're the best thing I ever did. Love you always, baby." Each one felt like a prank, and right then, for about 12 seconds, I thought about texting her. Just, "Hey, that's it. No anger, no accusations, just a thread to pull." But I didn't because I knew exactly what would happen. She'd answer, say something polite, blame circumstance, and then pivot to how we all have to grow sometime. No thanks. That night I didn't sleep. Instead, I stayed up watching the stars peek through Leo's busted screen door and listened to the wind rattle a loose gutter, and I realized something simple but sharp. I wasn't homeless. I was just between homes, between families, between being someone's son and becoming my own person. And maybe that didn't feel brave yet, but it was something. There's this weird thing about turning 18 when you've already been on your own. Nothing changes. No confetti, no cosmic download of maturity. You just wake up and realize you're now legally allowed to vote, buy a lottery ticket, and be charged rent you can't afford. I turned 18 while scrubbing burnt eggs off a skillet the size of a tire. The cook yelled "Happy birthday, dishwasher," and tossed me an extra stack of pancakes with whipped cream. I ate it in the alley behind the diner while a raccoon watched me like it had concerns about my life choices. That was my celebration. No candles, no calls, just me and the raccoon. By that point, I had upgraded from Leo's couch to a room in a 4-bedroom rental with 3 guys who thought doing the dishes meant stacking them in the sink like modern art. The room was the size of a parking spot, came with a stained mattress and no door lock, but it was mine. I paid rent with a new job stockroom shifts at a discount electronics store minimum wage, no benefits but air conditioning and fewer rodents than the diner. I still did some dish shifts on weekends when they needed extra hands. Between both jobs, I pulled about 45 to 50 hours a week. I didn't tell anyone. Not because I was trying to be a hero, I just didn't have anyone to tell. Sometimes I'd catch myself looking at other people's lives, classmates posting college acceptance letters, group photos from family send-off brunches, dorm move-ins with matching bed sets, and I'd feel this hollow weight in my stomach. Not jealousy, not really just absence, like someone handed out lives and forgot mine on the printer tray, but I didn't let it sink me. Instead, I built rituals. 6 a.m. coffee from the gas station, a budget spreadsheet with color-coded panic levels, a sticky note on my mirror that said, "Don't quit just because it sucks." I enrolled at the local trade school for welding, something practical, something I could control. The admissions officer asked if my parents would be helping with tuition. I laughed out loud. He didn't. I got in with a small grant, a part-time class schedule, and a promise to never miss a payment, which meant no breaks, no vacations, just work, school, sleep, repeat. I'd show up to class in steel toe boots with grease on my collar while my classmates scrolled TikTok between lectures. At first, I felt out of place. Then I realized they'd go home to full fridges and family dinners. I go home to a 150 frozen burrito and 3 roommates arguing about who unplugged the Wi-Fi. But I was still standing, and that had to count for something. Some nights I'd lie on that sad mattress listening to muffled laughter from the living room and wonder what it would feel like to be missed. Not pitted, not tolerated, just missed. I never got a birthday message from my mom, not a call, not even a Facebook. "Hope you're doing well." But about a month later, she posted a photo of Tyler standing next to a shiny new car. Caption, "So proud of our boy. Can't wait to see all the big things he'll do." Blue heart, hashtag blessed, hashtag new beginnings. It had 63 likes and 3 fire emojis. I stared at it for a full minute before closing the app and tossing my phone across the bed. And I remember thinking, not with anger, but with eerie clarity, I'm not coming back. Not for the holidays, not for birthdays, not when things finally look good on paper. I wasn't going to become the comeback kid that made her cry on a porch swing with pride. She'd made her choice. And I was going to make mine. 2 years after my last text to my mom, I bought my first real toolbox. Not the plastic kind with snap lids. I mean, steel matte, black, heavy enough to anchor a boat. The kind you don't buy unless you're planning to stay. I stocked it with everything I'd grown into. Torque wrenches, grinders, a torch I couldn't afford, back when all I had was duct tape and hope. I'd finished trade school quietly. No cap and gown, just a portal notification that read, Certification Complete Welding and Fabrication. I didn't print it, just screenshotted it and moved on. Around that time, I got a full-time job at a welding shop run by a guy named Marty. Gruff ponytail, definitely yelled at birds. He didn't care about resumes. Just said, show up, work hard, don't be stupid. It worked for me. The job was loud, hot, exhausting, but it was honest. By month 6, I'd moved out of the shared house into a small studio near the shop. A single room with ancient linoleum, a fridge that groaned when it ran, and a mattress on the floor. But it was clean, quiet mine. I fell into a rhythm. Work, sleep, meal prep, a few hours of welding side projects. I wasn't trying to impress anyone, just trying to build a life I didn't hate waking up to. I hadn't heard from my mom once. Not a birthday text. Hope you're doing well. Just silence, like I'd been paused mid-sentence and never resumed. But one Wednesday she broke it. It started with a call from a number I didn't know. I ignored it. Then a voicemail. Ethan, it's your mom. I know it's been a while. I was hoping we could talk. Something's come up. Her voice hadn't changed. Same tone she used when asking me to grab milk from the store. No urgency, no apology. I didn't call back that day or the next. But curiosity is annoying like that. So I texted her, "What's this about?" Her reply came almost instantly. "Can we talk in person? I could stop by this week." I said yes, not for her, for me. I wanted to see her face when she realized I'd done just fine without her. That Friday, she arrived at my apartment wearing a blazer and perfume like she was headed to a PDA fundraiser. She didn't ask to come in, just walked past me like she still had keys. "Nice place," she said, scanning the room. "Very functional." "Thanks," I replied. "Built most of the furniture myself." She smiled thinly. "Right. Welding. That's good. Practical." I didn't offer her a drink. She sat anyway. Then came the sigh. The dramatic pause. The tilt of her head that always meant a favor was coming disguised as concern. "I wanted to ask if you'd consider helping with Tyler's tuition." I blinked. That was the line. No lead-up, no easing in, just a full-speed dive into audacity. "He's been accepted to a really promising business program," she went on. "But things are a little tight financially right now." I waited. She kept going and I thought maybe this could be a chance to reconnect. Show you're still part of the family. I stared at her, letting the silence stretch. Then I walked over to my workbench, pulled out a folder, and dropped it onto the table between us. Inside, every receipt from the months I lived under her roof. Back when Tyler got Uber Eats, and I got sticky notes that said, "Eat what's in the freezer." At the top of the first page I'd written back, "Rent $4,200. Due upon receipt." She blinked at it. "What is this?" "My invoice," I said flatly. "You wanted tuition help?" "Great, but family helps family, right? So let's settle my part first." Her face went stiff. Part shock, part offense. "This isn't funny, Ethan. I'm not joking." Silence. Then she stood, tugged at her sleeves. "I see. Well, I thought maybe you'd grown up a bit." I smiled. "I did. That's why I keep records now." She left without another word. Didn't look back. Didn't even close the door. All the way. I waited a beat, walked over and shut it gently behind her. Then I poured myself a glass of water, sat on the edge of my bed, and let out the kind of slow breath that felt like letting go. Not of anger, but of expectation. She was never coming back the way I wanted her to, but I wasn't waiting anymore. That night I didn't sleep much, not because I was angry. That part had long passed, but because my brain wouldn't stop replaying her expression when I handed her the invoice. It wasn't guilt. It wasn't regret. It was confusion. Like she truly couldn't understand why I wasn't still orbiting her, grateful for crumbs and pretending they were meals. I guess that was the final piece I needed to see. For a long time I held on to this fantasy. That one day she'd show up, eyes wet, voice shaking, saying, "I'm sorry I failed you." That she'd hug me so hard it would make up for every time she didn't. That we'd laugh over burned pancakes and Tyler's failure to assemble IKEA furniture without supervision. But now I knew she hadn't just walked away. She never looked back. I wasn't her unfinished chapter. I was her deleted file. And weirdly, that realization didn't break me. It steadied me because for the first time I saw my story wasn't waiting for her approval anymore. The next morning I went to work like usual, welded a gate for a local gym, patched up a trailer hitch, drank gas station coffee that tasted like motor oil and freedom. Marty didn't ask about the circles under my eyes, just grunted when I clocked in 5 minutes early. "Overachieving today." "Huh?" he muttered. "Just avoiding voicemails," I replied. He snorted. "Fair enough." At lunch, I opened my phone. No new messages. I scrolled through my old photos, stopping at a blurry one from years ago. Me and Leo sitting on his porch eating instant ramen out of the pot. We looked like raccoons with student debt. I smiled. That couch, that busted sink, that weird half-hug Leo always gave. Those were the things that held me together. Not blood, not biology, but grit and borrowed blankets. And friends who never once asked why I needed the last slice of pizza more than they did. That weekend, I got a call from a local fabrication shop that had seen my work on Instagram. They needed someone for a project, something custom, one of a kind. They said they'd heard I worked like hell and didn't talk much accurate. I took the job. Spent the next few weeks designing metal stair rails for a modern cabin upstate. It was clean work, steady hands, a little creative. One night after finishing the first panel, I stood back, looked at the welds and felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Pride, not performative, not manufactured for someone else's approval, just mine. That same week, I got a message on Facebook from Tyler. I hadn't heard from him since I left. His profile pic was a filtered selfie with a caption that said something about legacy building and hustle hard. I nearly ignored the message, but curiosity got the better of me. It said, "Hey man, sorry about how things went down. No hard feelings. I was wondering if your shop's hiring." I stared at it. Then I screenshotted the rent invoice I'd given our mom, attached it to the reply, and wrote, "Ask her to forward this first," blocked him after that. Not out of spite, but because I was done being the quiet one everyone assumed would always be available for cleanup duty. I wasn't a backup plan, I was plan A. Starting your own shop sounds cool on paper. Instagram makes it look like espresso-fueled brainstorming sessions and dramatic warehouse lighting. In reality, it was me. A folding table in the back of Marty's storage room, and a Home Depot credit card that coughed every time I used it. I called it East Steel Fabrication, not because it sounded sleek, but because I lived on East Maple Street and was too tired to be creative. The first logo, I drew it with my finger on a cracked phone screen and printed it at the library. The ink smudged, still slapped it on the door like I was launching SpaceX. Marty let me rent half the back room, as long as I don't hear you whining, which was his way of saying he didn't care what I did, so long as sparks didn't touch his tool chest. I worked 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, at Marty's weekends and nights for East Steel. My projects were small at first. Railings, bike racks, once a steel-framed bench for a lady who wanted her backyard to look post-apocalyptic chic. I took it all. No job was beneath me. If someone wanted their mailbox welded to look like a dragon, I was their guy. If they paid in cash and I could afford ramen and rent, I said thank you and got to work. I posted everything on Instagram. At first, just 5 followers me. Leo, 2 bots, and some girl who thought I was someone else. But slowly people started noticing. Leo's cousin ordered a custom fire pit. Then a barista from downtown shared it on her story. Some small design blogger reposted that. Then boom, I got 5 inquiries in one day. I nearly cried into my work gloves. I didn't though. I just upgraded my gloves, reinvested every dollar, no fancy shoes, no car upgrade, just tools, better clamps. A used welder I named Beast because it sparked like it hated me. Eventually I moved into a rented garage, actual space, real airflow, a work sink that didn't sound like it was dying. I hung my first invoice on the wall. Right next to it, a photo of me and Leo from back in the couch, days eating ramen out of the pot with a screwdriver because we'd lost all the forks. That was my reminder not to get soft, to remember who ate with me when no one else noticed I was hungry. Then one afternoon, while I was installing a staircase railing at a lake house, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I let it ring. Then it buzzed again. Voicemail. Later I played it. My mom. Her voice hadn't aged a minute. "Ethan? I heard you started some kind of fabrication business." "That's great. Listen, things haven't been easy lately. Craig's dealing with some legal stuff. Tyler's program isn't panning out. I was hoping we could catch up over dinner. Family should stick together. You know family. That word again. Like she just found it in a drawer and decided to dust it off for the occasion. I didn't reply. I didn't even feel mad, just done. That night, I cooked myself dinner. A real one. Actual meat, vegetables, mashed potatoes. I didn't microwave in a flimsy plastic bowl. I sat at my own kitchen table with a glass of cheap red wine and let the silence settle. It was the same kind of silence I'd had when I was 17, sitting on Leo's back steps pretending cold ramen tasted better in the dark. But this time, the quiet didn't feel like abandonment. It felt like an arrival. I didn't need applause. I didn't need her to clap for me. I had a business, a name, a place that was mine, and no one could invoice that out of me. The invitation came in a group message, not even a personal text, just a bubble from a thread labeled Family Updates Red Art. A thread I didn't even know I was still in. The last message before, it was a blurry photo of Tyler next to a birthday cake with candles that spelled 25 and a caption from my mom. So proud of this man. Can't wait to see what this year brings. Clinking glasses, blue heart. Then the new message. Hi all. We're having a family dinner this Sunday to celebrate Craig's early retirement. Hope everyone can make it. Let us know if you'll be bringing up +1 smiling face with smiling eyes. I stared at it for a full minute. No direct mention of me, no personal invite, just a digital flyer tossed in a group I'd been erased from 2 years ago. I didn't respond, didn't click like, but I didn't delete it either. Something about the timing felt intentional, like they were testing the water or maybe showing off. Craig had retired early. Tyler was still coasting, but in a slightly more adult costume, and I was the one they figured might bring a date if he wasn't still fixing things with a blowtorch. I didn't have a +1, but I had something better, a schedule, and boundaries. Sunday rolled around. I finished an install early custom balcony railing for a downtown client who paid in full and tipped me a bottle of scotch I couldn't pronounce. I took a long shower, put on jeans that didn't smell like metal dust, threw on a clean black button-down. Nothing flashy, just clean. At 6:30 p.m., I pulled up to my mom's house in a company van wrapped, branded, freshly washed. East Steel Fabrication in bold lettering, my phone number on the side, and my logo, which no longer smudged. The driveway was packed. Lexus, BMW, Tyler's new lease. I parked right behind Craig's prize truck, just close enough to make him nervous. When I stepped inside, it was like walking into a live version of an Instagram family post. Shaku Erie boards, matching napkins, jazz in the background, Tyler talking loudly about market pivot potential. My mom's face lit up when she saw me too quickly, like she'd been practicing. Ethan. I wasn't sure you'd come. Neither was I said, walking past her into the kitchen. I wasn't rude, just exact. Craig gave me a nod. Tyler waved like we were best friends from summer camp. I made myself a plate. Sat at the table across from an aunt I barely remembered who said, "So heard you started doing metalwork, like art or plumbing?" "Welding," I said. "Custom fabrication, railings, gates, commercial builds, business is good." She blinked. "Oh, like real business?" I smiled. "Real enough to pay your son's law firm for custom contracts." Tyler glanced over at that. He knew. The conversation shifted fast after that. I answered polite questions, gave short replies. Didn't drink. Just watched, observed how they danced around. The fact I wasn't a screw-up, that I wasn't resentful, that I was calm. When dessert came out, a massive cake that said, "Cheers to Craig." My mom tapped her glass for attention. Before we cut the cake, she said, "I just want to thank everyone for being here. Family means everything, especially the ones who stick with you through thick and thin." I didn't flinch, didn't raise an eyebrow, but when people clapped, I didn't join in. I just stood, took my keys out of my pocket, and said to the room, "I've got an early install tomorrow. Thanks for dinner." Before anyone could respond, I walked to the door. Tyler called after me. "Hey, you need help with anything?" I turned, smiling. "Yeah, actually, if you could move your BMW back about 6 in my van," doesn't back down easily. His face twitched, and I walked out. Didn't slam the door, didn't look back. Just stepped into my van, started the engine, and drove off. Not triumphant, not bitter, just clear. The next morning, my phone buzzed. Not early, just late enough to feel intentional. Block number. I didn't pick up. It buzzed again. Voicemail. Same number. I let it sit while I drank my coffee. Boots already laced. Job file open beside my eggs. The install was 30 meters out, and I had no time for games. But curiosity, it's relentless. I hit play. Her voice again, calmer this time, almost tender. "Ethan, it's me. Last night was nice. I'm glad you came. I know things haven't always been easy between us. I hope we can move forward. Maybe start again. You're doing well and I'm proud of you. We all are. No apology. No, I'm sorry I left you at 17. Just a blanket of polite denial. Like if she said it sweetly enough, I'd forget the motel rooms, the ramen, the way she let me disappear without blinking. I didn't respond right away, but after lunch in my work van parked behind a client's apartment complex, I opened my invoices folder, created a new one. Title: Emotional Damages, 2011 to present. Line item 1, back rent, $4,200. Line item 2, birthday ignorance times, $500. Line item 3, couch years trauma charge, $1,300. Line item 4, tuition funding request rejected. See attached sarcasm fee. Line item 5, BMW clearance fee, $100. Subtotal $6,100. Notes: payment may be made in gratitude, humility, or baked goods, but frankly it's too late. I screenshotted it, then sent it to her along with a single text. Nice seeing you. Just settling accounts. Then I blocked the number and got back to work because life wasn't waiting on her anymore. It was mine earned, not inherited, and fully paid for in full with interest.